Helen Sevier was born in the small town of Enterprise, Mississippi in 1941. At age 8, Helen caught her first fish while fishing with her father, a 10-pound largemouth bass that is still her biggest to date. After receiving her master's degree in marketing from the University of Alabama, Helen began her career working in direct marketing. In 1970, Helen became the third employee at the Bass Anglers Sportsman Society, B.A.S.S, and immediately put her direct marketing experience to work. At the time of her arrival, the organization had less than 10,000 members, and by the time she left, the organization in 2001, it grew to over 600,000. Helen was also a proponent of conservation within the industry. As she describes it, without the resource, without the fish themselves, there is no B.A.S.S. In the beginning, many of the tournaments run by the organization allowed for the harvest of fish. Often those fish were donated to local food banks or children's hospitals. However, as the organization grew, Helen, along with President Ray Scott, decided that moving forward, all tournaments run by the organization would be catch and release. This decision led to one of the most significant adaptations to the bass boat, the live well. The organization held the first Bassmaster tournament in 1968, 2 years before Helen joined the organization in 1970. However, over the course of the next 3 decades, Helen played a vital role in the massive expansion of the Bassmaster tournament series. It was during these events that Helen drew the greatest pleasure from her job, building long, meaningful relationships with bass anglers from all walks of life. Helen purchased B.A.S.S. from Ray Scott in 1986 and served as the president and CEO of the organization until 2001, when the organization was purchased by ESPN. During her tenure at B.A.S.S., Helen served on the board of directors for the Sport Fishing Institute and helped guide the merger with the American Fishing Tackle Manufacturers Association to form the American Sport Fishing Association. As a woman in an industry historically dominated by male figures, Helen never backed down from a challenge. In her words, "I never looked at things as obstacles, just opportunities, and how you get over them. You can't let things like that trip you up. You might accept it as a challenge, but you should view it as an opportunity." According to Helen, the greatest accomplishment in her time with B.A.S.S. was the push for both conservation and youth angler education. With access to over 2,500 local clubs and federations, B.A.S.S. made it mandatory for each club or federation to have its own conservation director. Along with this push for conservation, B.A.S.S. used these clubs and federations to reach over 1 million children over the course of a 4-year span. These programs allowed the organization to introduce the concepts of appreciating fishing, conservation, and aquatic resources. When asked how she would like to be remembered by the angling community, Helen said, "It's not about you, it's about people. You should spend your life determining how you can help people." B.A.S.S. was successful because of the passion that the people within the organization had. You don't always catch all the fish, and in our case, you don't catch all of the fishermen. But I look back and think how lucky I was to be part of it. For her considerable accomplishments in promoting sustainable bass fisheries and conservation, the IGFA proudly welcomes Helen Sevier to the IGFA Fishing Hall of Fame.